was about cold sauce. Today we're going to get into a specific cold sauce, which will be the Caesar dressing. What type, after we talked yesterday, what type of emulsion is a Caesar dressing? Caesar dressing is what type of emulsion? It's a permanent emulsion. It stays together. It's mayonnaise based, so we have that to stay together. First off, I'm going to start with croutons for the Caesar salad today. And I go about the croutons a little bit different than maybe some people do. Some people use oil on their bread. Some people use butter on their bread to get it nice and crispy and toasty in the oven. I'm going to use mayonnaise. Remember, after we talked about making the mayonnaise yesterday, it's already 8 parts oil, so it's the same as putting oil on there, right? Except for the mayonnaise doesn't soak into the bread the way oil would. It stays on the surface. And then what happens to the mayonnaise in a 350-degree oven? It breaks, it separates. So then you have the oil. You have the oil on the surface of the crouton, and we're going to do that on a wire rack. So when it's on a wire rack, the oil will be able to drip away. Underneath the wire rack, I have a sheet pan liner. I don't know how many times I see people over there scrubbing on their sheet pans when they could just use a liner on there and make it a lot easier. So let's start with the mayonnaise here. We use the mayonnaise as the base for this. Now I want some seasoning in my my mayonnaise. This is a seasoning blend that's already made up. It's got celery, salt, paprika, garlic, some salt, a little bit of dried herb in there. I'm going to put that in so we have a nice seasoned crouton. Our croutons, though, are already our mayonnaise is thicker than we want for coating, so we need to thin it out a little bit. To make it match the Caesar a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of the Worcester in there. That'll start to thin it out. I'm also going to thin it with just a little bit of lemon juice to give a little bit of zing to the crouton. Oh, there it is. The zest will give it the aroma of the lemon, and the juice will give it the acidic part of the lemon. So we can put a little bit of the zest in there so we have a little lemony. You could chop garlic and put garlic into your croutons at this point. Finally, shred some cheese and put cheese on them if you want cheesy croutons going on. So I'm gonna, that's pretty close right there, but I want just a little bit of the acid from the lemon in there. So now we have a nice mixture. It's loosened up a little bit. It'll make a nice coating on the breadcrumbs. So here we got a pretty firm bread because it was the baguette bread, but you could use whatever type of bread that you want. Nice uniform bite size. We got them pretty small so you can eat them on the salad instead of a whole crouton. You can toss these around because the bread's firm enough. If you're using a softer bread, maybe cut it early, let it dry out a little bit. In the kitchen today, you guys will be using baguettes, so that'll work out fine. So they're all nice and lightly coated like that. We're going to come with a sheet pan with the wire rack and get them out onto there. You're going to spread those around. so we can evenly caramelize them. And again, that mayonnaise is going to break, so that excess fat that's on here is going to go away. It's going to go onto the sheet pan liner. So that's going to go into a 350 degree oven. And how long does that take? It varies. It varies, so you have to kind of watch it. We'll check them out here in a little bit. Now we're going to get into the Caesar dressing. I'm going to rinse this bowl because I need it again. In the industry, there's a lot of places that use pre-bought mayonnaise. There's a lot of places that start with that pre-bought mayonnaise and turn that into a Caesar. There's a lot of places that just buy a pre-made Caesar. But there are still places that understand the value of making your Caesar from scratch and having fresh product start to finish. And that's what we're going to do with our Caesar dressing here today. So we made mayonnaise yesterday, so let's start with the egg yolk that we started with for the mayonnaise. We're going to start with for the Caesar. And you can use about that same ratio we talked about yesterday. Today I'm just going to use one egg yolk to show you that you can take that one egg yolk a lot farther. If I was doing one egg yolk, normally I would try to do about a cup's worth of, cup and a half worth of Caesar dressing. Today I'm going to do two and a half cups worth of Caesar dressing out of one yolk, just to show you that you can take that yolk a lot farther. Yesterday we started with the egg yolk. We talked about it being the water and why it's there, to be the continuous phase of our emulsion going on. Then we used dry mustard as our emulsifier. Today I'm going to show you that prepared mustard works as the emulsifier. So I'm going to use prepared mustard. Prepared mustard is ground up mustard seed with vinegar in it, so it's already got some water in it, so it's not going to hold as much water to it. So you might use a little bit more of it, but I'm just using one tasting spoon of it there. And then in our kitchen, you might have noticed yesterday, if you went for lemon juice, we don't carry the bottled lemon juice in the kitchen. The lemon juice is in the lemons. If you have lemons around, I don't know why you would go for the bottled lemon juice. So we're going to start with some lemon juice at the beginning here. There's not enough lemon juice in the beginning here to make it taste lemony. We're going to need to add lemon juice for our finished product to make it more lemony. But your recipe in the book varies just a little from what I'm making right here, and you'll see the variations. So you can see how watery that becomes. Remember, we need that watery part to start our emulsion going on. Some people start earlier on with their anchovy paste. In the industry, lots of times you're buying a jar of anchovy paste, a tube of anchovy paste. Today you're going to work with canned anchovies. How many of you like the taste of anchovies? One, and he doesn't have a white coat on right now. I think they're an intricate part of a Caesar dressing. I think they need to be there to be a Caesar dressing. But if you'll notice, out of the dozen people we have sitting here, one person raises their hand. 1 out of 12 people might want to see the anchovy on top of their Caesar. 1 out of 12 people might ask for extra anchovies on their Caesar. The rest of us, maybe we don't mind if they're in there, but we don't really, want extra on top. So the biggest problem with the Caesar dressing that I've seen in the industry is overuse of the anchovy, though, to where you take a bite of the salad. After you've eaten that bite of salad, all there is an overwhelming aftertaste of anchovy. We should balance out the taste. We should have some garlic, some anchovy, some Worcester, some lemon juice, and all those things should linger, not just the fish. One of the things that helps the fish linger is its oil base that's on it because it's packed in the oil in the cans. So what I do is I soak the anchovy fillet in milk, maybe 12 minutes, 20 minutes or so. Overnight is what I did with these. But that pulls the oil away from the surface of the anchovy. So you can, I don't know how well you can see it in there, but there's oil on the surface of this little cup of them here. And I'll take a fork, pull those out. Looks like maybe she gave me 3 today. 2. I usually put 2 in for the size of batch I'm making here. I use cool water and then I rinse off the excess oil and milk that was on there. And then rather than a knife, I don't know how well this plastic one's going to work, I usually take a fork and mash this into a paste on the board. Now, the paste that you buy, I'm sure, is mechanically mashed into a paste. If you chop them up, if you mash them up with a fork like I'm doing, you need to make sure you mash them up really well. You're going to have big chunks of them in the dressing, and then the 11 out of the 12 people that don't want to see the anchovy on there are still going to see it. If somebody in your restaurant tells you they're allergic to anchovies, then you got to tell them it's in the dressing. We can't make a Caesar without it because it's already prepared in the dressing. But if they're just like, I don't want anchovies on the top. So that's why I like to mash the anchovies so much that they won't really, they'll see little specks in there, but they're not going to think, wow, there's a big chunk of anchovy right there. So mash those into a fine paste. Those going in early like I'm putting them in, the anchovy going in early can help as an emulsifier. So it'll be an emulsifier here. Now, one of the things I didn't talk about yesterday with emulsifications is it depends on the type of oil. Salad oil emulsifies a lot easier than olive oil. I want some olive oil in my Caesar, but I don't want it to be 100% extra virgin olive oil, or it'll be overwhelmingly aromatic of olives. So it's easier to start an emulsion with salad oil, so I'm going to start with salad oil, and I have about half salad oil, then I have half blend, and the blend is olive oil, canola oil blend going on. So we're going to go about half and half. So I start with the salad oil. Just like you guys did it when you got into the kitchen yesterday, you got to work it in just a little at a time until it starts getting thicker. See how thick that got using just the 1 cup of oil already. As you might have found out when you were making your mayonnaise yesterday, this will get thicker the more oil that I add. So when it gets too thick, what do I need to do to it? Add some water-based product. So I would add lemon juice in this case because I want the lemon juice in the final approach anyway for the taste and aromatics. So you can see I'm adding this blended oil a lot quicker because I have a good emulsion started, so it'll be able to absorb this quite a bit easier. Even though I get it like that, it looks like it's not going to take that in there. There you go. Even if it starts to look a little oily on the surface, then you don't have enough continuous phase, which is the water phase. So if you add some more lemon juice, you'll see that. See how shiny it is up here and kind of dull down here? It's because we have enough continuous phase in here and not in here. So that's the base to our Caesar dressing. Now we have garlic. How much garlic's enough garlic? Remember, I got about 2.5 cups of dressing I'm making here. This is 2 ounces of chopped garlic. These are little 2-ounce containers. Put it all in. Now we're pretty thick, huh? It's not going to go very well on the salad greens. It's going to clump them down. So we want to thin that out a little bit. Some type of white vinegar for some acid, so it's a vinaigrette. My choice is white balsamic because it's got the sweetness to it. So I like the white balsamic. It's white balsamic vinegar. So remember when we made the emulsified vinaigrette yesterday, you took your mayonnaise and you added your vinegar? Well, I'm adding about 1/3 vinegar. So I have 2 cups, so I'm adding about 2/3 of a cup of vinegar into here. And that'll give me the ratio that we talked about yesterday, which is going to give me a pretty good consistency. Now that'll coat a green fairly nicely without clumping, so I'll leave that on there. It may get it a little bit thicker because I shred my cheese pretty fine and incorporate the cheese. Use the microplane zester on the cheese and put some cheese into that. That's Parmesan or Asiago, either one. Now we're missing a couple intricate parts to it, and that happens to be the Worcester. I started with mustard, and the mustard I started with was for emulsification. Now I want some more Dijon mustard in it for taste. So I'm going to put the rest of that Dijon mustard in. I started with about 1 3/4 ounces of Dijon in this container. Caesar salad is meant to tantalize the taste buds. What in a Caesar doesn't make your mouth water. So that's why the Caesar salad is so popular. Lemon juice, you put straight lemon juice in your mouth, it's going to make your mouth water. Asiago or Parmesan cheese, make your mouth water. Anchovies, make your mouth water. Garlic, makes your mouth water. The Worcester, it'll make your mouth water. So this is really a good appetizing salad that way. I happen to usually put one ingredient that's not in most all Caesars, and it's the Tabasco. What does Tabasco add to it? Heat is going to be part of it, but Tabasco is a vinegar base, so it's going to add sourness. It's going to add spice from the pepper going on, and it will add heat. So it adds taste, aroma, and pain, nerve-ending response to pain. But I'm not putting enough in there to make it so it's going to burn just enough to kind of heighten the taste and aroma effect of it. I also want a little bit more of that lemon juice. You can put the zest of the lemon in there if you want it to be a little bit more lemony. Usually season it a little bit with some black pepper. How many of you like black pepper freshly grated on top of your Caesar when you get it in a restaurant? Does he put some black pepper in there? Not enough that it, for those people that really love pepper, they'll still want some pepper on there, but just enough for seasoning going on. And you should taste your Caesar before you bring it to me. That's pretty good there, but I think it needs a little bit more of the Worcester. And a little bit more of the Tabasco. As this sits, the garlic is going to make it taste quite a bit better. So we want it to sit a little bit. So I'm going to let this sit in the refrigerator while we review some salad greens. And then I'll put it on the greens and make a salad for you guys to taste. All right, so tableside Caesars often tossed in a wooden bowl. Tableside Caesar, as we talked yesterday about pasteurization, lots of places do a Caesar dressing right there at the table. Do it in a bowl, put the greens in, toss it right there for you. In the state of Oregon, in order to do that, you have to use pasteurized egg yolk, so you have to know how to coddle the egg yolk and pasteurize it so you can make it right there at the table. But if you were doing this buffet service or something, you might have a pair of wooden spoons too, like the ones hanging on your grandma's wall, so you can fluff the dressing into it. But I'd stir the dressing one more time. We want nice even coating, and we want bite-sized pieces. You can see that piece is, I want a nice coating, not too heavy, so I drizzle some of the dressing across the greens. You can always come back and add more, so if you stop a little shy, that'd be fine. Toss those around without scrunching and bruising the greens. We're using romaine. Romaine is a very sturdy green. Romaine is the lettuce culinary staple of the industry because it's a sturdy green and because of the Caesar salad. The Caesar salad is so popular and it's made with romaine, so we go through so much romaine. But you can abuse romaine and it still stays crisp and servable. So I have a plate, so we can do a plating of the Caesar here. I have cheese left over for garnish, but I saved out a couple of slices of cheese when I was grating the cheese so that we have some cheese kind of as a garnish on the plate there. Now when I place salads on the plate, I start with smaller handfuls because I want height. So I don't want to just grab a huge handful and blob it on the plate because it spreads out too much. What I want is to get a stack of the lettuce in the middle. So if you're doing smaller handfuls, pinching them, you can get them to stack up a little more into some height, because we want some height. That would be plenty of dressing on a salad plate for a 4-course meal, if this was the salad part of the 4-course meal. There was lemon in the dressing, so I'm going to use lemon as a garnish also. When I'm putting the lemon on there, what I've done is I've cut the ends off the lemon, and when I cut the lemons, I cut short of the pith so the pith's not clogging it up on the end. I like the lemon wedge for a Caesar rather than the lemon wheel, a twist of lemon or a lemon wheel, because the lemon wheel or twist, they can't squeeze it on there. Somebody might actually want to use it. So I'm going to put these off to the side like that. Even though we have cheese in it and cheese underneath of it, it just looks nice to have a really fine grade of the cheese on the top like that, on the top of it. when I was putting this stuff down, we got a couple of them that fell off to the side. Before I'd send this to any guest, I want to clean the edges of the plate up so it looked like the salad just fell right in the right spot when I put that together on the plate. If the guest wanted cracked pepper, obviously you'd do that at the table, but I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of pepper over the top of this one. So we have that. So the croutons are done from the oven, and I lost my remote. You can see nice and golden, but when I zoom in, if I pick up this tray, let me slide this a little, you can see all of that excess oil that dripped away. That's what I was saying. It'll just get the nice crispiness on the outside, and the excess oil won't soak into the bread. It'll drip away, and you get the oil on the edge of the pan. So I'll put a few of the croutons on here. There. That salad will be for the cameraman, and I'll put croutons on yours for you. And then we'll talk about the rest of those greens. So hopefully that helps you in the kitchen today on your Caesar salad. Going on.